What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Age Groupies Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Ergo, and along with my co-host, Lindsay Hiken, we are the Age Groupies. So thanks for listening. We're part of the United WeCast Network, and we're here to talk to you about the multi-sport lifestyle and the random stuff that just pops in our head while we're out there on the trail or in the pool on our bike. If you guys want to follow us at Age Groupies on Instagram, you can find our Facebook page. You can email us with any questions or comments, agegroupies@gmail.com. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Go ahead and subscribe, give us a rating and review. Thank you for our latest review coming from Swim Bike Run Mama. She says, Lindsay and Mike have a great dialogue. They are very honest and without pretense. As someone just getting back into endurance sports, I really enjoy listening to this show and getting perspectives of other athletes and experts. Mike's story, episode 28, really hit home for me, and I'm glad Lindsay decided to add him to the show. Thank you, Swim Bike Run Mama. We appreciate that. And as we promised, whoever had the best review in October, I'd be sending them some Zealios sunscreen. So Swim Bike Run Mama, get at me. Send me an email, agegroupies@gmail.com, and let us know who you are and where we can send you some Zealios sunscreen. All right, cool. Everyone, we got a cool episode today. Lindsay interviews me, and I break down my trip to race Ironman 70.3 Xiamen in mainland China. A lot of fun. So, without any further delay, let's get to it.
Hey, Mike. How's it going?
It's going well. I'm actually sitting in my office right now, recording this. Just had a cup of coffee, and I am, I'd say, 95% adapted to our West Coast Pacific time. Got over my jet lag.
Welcome back.
Thank you, yeah.
Oh, my gosh, so awesome. So, for any listeners who aren't following us on social media, you might not know that Mike went to China to race, was it 70.3?
Yeah, it was a 70.3, half Ironman.
Awesome. And so today we're going to talk about his trip to the Far East to race and also to hang out and take in the culture.
Yes.
So let's go all the way back and start with how you ended up going to this race. Like, how did this even all come about?
Yeah, my dad does a lot of work in mainland China and Taiwan, and he had visited the city of Xiamen, where I ended up racing a few times, and he met some people, including one guy who owns his own bike company out there in the city of Xiamen. So this guy reached out and said, hey, your son does Ironman? Well, we have an Ironman right here. Why doesn't he come out and do this one? And that was last year, and then I started thinking about it. Man, I'd love to do it. Just the cost of getting over there is a lot. And since my dad travels so much, he said, hey, use my miles. Go ahead. And so he got me a plane ticket to fly there. And I said, cool, I can take care of the rest. And I'd studied Mandarin in college for a year. And I'd always wanted to visit China. So it seemed like an opportunity I could not pass up. And I said, let's do it. Let's sign up, experience something new, and get to race an Ironman, a half Ironman over there. So I went ahead and signed up, and yeah, got it done.
So did anyone go with you from the States?
No, originally my wife was going to come, but she didn't want to be away from the kids for that long. So I had my friend Sean that I served with in the Marine Corps. He came with me. Awesome. He flew out from New York, and I flew out from San Francisco. We landed in Hong Kong about the same time.
Mm-hmm. Did he race too, or just come and spectate?
No, he did his own triathlon of drinking whiskey, wine, and beer. So,
okay, a little different.
Yeah, he did his own. But it was cool because he'd never been around an Ironman before, and he got inspired. He wants to sign up and do one next year, so I might see if we can do Atlantic City or Maryland or something like that.
Oh, very cool.
With him.
Yeah.
So yeah, it planted a seed, which is cool. I mean,
awesome.
The same way when I just watched one. I mean, wouldn't you agree? You have to really be there and see it to really understand that energy of race day.
You go, these people are insane. What are they doing? and then you get there and you're like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, definitely.
One of the things that really helped me out was the fact that my new friend Leo, who lives in Xiamen, China, who owns his own bike company, let me use one of his bikes, so I didn't have to bring my bike out there.
So I was going to ask you about that, whether or not you shipped your bike all the way to China, or if you. So was it a road bike or a tri bike?
Road bike. He had tri bikes, just none of them were my size, and so I used one of his customers' bikes that one of his friends let me use his bike because we're about the same size. So,
was this the first race you did on a road bike? Because I know you have a tri bike. So
yeah, I've done a few. I started out doing races on a road bike.
Road bike, okay.
On my own, kind of decent, but old and beat up, specialized Roubaix. So I did my first 3 70.3 races and all the Olympics and sprints on a road bike. So I'm familiar with it. Yeah. It wasn't as efficient or couldn't get as much power out of it just because I've trained on my triathlon bike for so long. Yeah. But for what it was, oh my God, it was so nice, so light.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was an awesome bike. Yeah. I really enjoyed riding it.
So let's walk through the course. What was the swim like? What were the conditions for was it a lake, a stream? I mean, river? Was it?
We're out in the ocean for this one.
Wow.
And it was cool. So race morning, there's a lot of people from all over the world. And as I'm in the chute waiting to go in, where people, or so I thought, were going to their appropriate times, estimated swim finish times. And we'll get to that in a second. But so I saw some of the name of the bike company is Yoeleo. And so I saw a couple of the riders that came out from Japan, and they were really excited. And I, oh, Micah-san! And then they were like, whoa! And we jumped around like we just won the World Series. Really cool guys.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
So they just came over from Japan to spectate you?
No, they came over. They were racing themselves.
Oh, they are.
And so I saw them when everyone was rushing back and forth through transition and into the swim start. So we saw each other. So I spoke my 3 sentences of Japanese to them. Wished other people good luck in Chinese, and then I met some people. I heard some people speaking German, and spoke my German with a guy who's from Stuttgart, Germany. Right behind him was a woman from Veracruz, Mexico. So I spoke my limited Spanish to her, wished her good luck, and then and a couple fellow English speaking people. So I was like, holy shit! I think right in the swim start line, I was speaking Japanese, Chinese, German, Spanish, English. So I was like, what else? Is it anyone from Slovakia? I can speak my 2 lines of Slovak too.
It's like the UN at the start. That's awesome.
Yeah. So the swim conditions, the water is great. It was, I think 67, 68. And so perfect for a wetsuit. A little warm for me, so I was just flushing it out of my suit like I usually do. But it was great. The water felt good. Here's the thing about swims in Ironman events in Asia, and there's a lot of people who just swim or just get in whenever, not necessarily knowing what time they are. For a rolling start, it kind of makes it hell. And there's so many people doing breaststroke in wetsuits. And so I got kicked in the face 3 or 4 times. I thought I lost my goggles. At one point, I thought the lens cracked out because I kicked them off my head. And I got kicked in the shoulder, kicked in the mouth.
Oh my gosh, I just decided I need to go to Asia to do a 70.3 because the breaststroke is my best stroke and my favorite. Yeah. Those are my people.
Well, you will fit in. You will fit in just fine, and you can kick other people in the face.
Oh, I have. Trust me.
Yeah, it's one thing to get kicked in the face. People doing freestyle. That's just those are just glancing blows, but you get that full donkey kick of a breaststroker. Yeah, holy fuck. The other interesting thing was on the turnaround or coming around back towards the shore. Some of the buoys weren't straight, and so it was zigzagging a little. So I looked at my watch, has GPS. So I looked at the results afterwards, and it looked like I had gotten lost and was just swimming many different directions in it. But the other thing that might gross you out is, and it was just kind of weird to me. I was swimming back in, and there were all kinds of these little tiny, like flying fish would jump. I thought I was just seeing bubbles or something pop out of the water, but these little fish. And so they're hitting my face, hit my hand, and
Oh, dude.
none flew into my mouth, which was good.
Yeah.
But I survived the swim.
That's
Little
where
bit
the
gross.
fear would be. I don't mind fish, but in the water, of course. But I usually towards the end, I'm kind of mouth breathing, like when I'm taking a breath in. At the end, if I'm like, I mean that if it wouldn't gotten into my mouth, I'd probably be done. I'd be like, I'm out. I'm tapping out.
If I gotta quit, you at least would have had to swim back into shore. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then so that part was good. Finished it up. I think. I mean, this whole race, it was my slowest race yet. But the swim, I hadn't done a lot of swimming at all leading up to this, so I think I finished the swim in about 45 minutes. So by a long shot, my slowest swim. Enjoyed it though. Really enjoyed it. The water felt good. And then it was off to the bike, and the bike course was awesome. One thing I can say about China is when they want to shut down a city or shut down a road, they make that happen. So they shut down all of the roads that we were on. No other cars. And we're talking about like, it wasn't a highway, but it was, 3 lanes going in each direction. So you had so much room.
Holy cow. How fun. And no cars?
It was cool.
Oh my gosh.
No cars at all.
Okay,
So
another reason to
definitely
race
safe.
in Asia.
Exactly. There were more people that were not really sticking to their line and would kind of like veer back and forth. So, I was definitely passing people on the right, passing people on the left. That wasn't too bad because you had such a wide course. It didn't really matter too much.
Yeah, that same behavior here is like a nightmare because you're like, excuse me, and then there's a car, and then but big wide lane, at least if someone's weaving around, you can still just rip around them. That's nice.
Exactly. So the bike course, it went over a bridge because Xiamen is an island, and it's in the very southeastern part of China. Okay. So it's an island right in the Pacific there. So a small suspension bridge connected us to the mainland there, and so we got to ride onto the actual mainland for a little bit, and cool. It was nice. I mean, everything was pretty standard except for the fact that as opposed to the U.S., they have things in kilometers. So I was trying to do the math in my head.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that would be actually, it's something to think about. You got to think about something while you're racing. Might as well think about how far, just converting kilometers to miles the whole time. Yeah.
Well, and the other cool thing was that I could just enjoy the scenery. The scenery is beautiful. It was the most beautiful bike course I've ever been a part of. And
really?
Not just because they shut the roads down, but the view of the ocean and the city is like really well like manicured and clean. And you get to go past it's like around like half of the island at least, but you got to go past like what looked like an old town, like a like kind of open air market where people were, tourists would go and shop for things and eat. Wow. Beautiful beaches, beautiful trees, and I'll put some more pictures up on our
definitely put some
Instagram
up.
account. The only thing I regretted about the bike course was that I didn't have my phone on me to take pictures because it was so pretty.
So beautiful. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What was the temperature of the air like?
It was in the upper 70s, and it wasn't muggy at all. So
that's perfect.
The race conditions were perfect. Yeah, the race conditions were perfect. It was a little warm on the run, so I finished the bike up. I was, I set these, like probably a lot of us, these arbitrary numbers of when I want to finish each leg, and I wanted to get a sub 3 on the bike because I think PR for me is around like 2:40, and 3 hours is. I just like to be under it. I don't know. It just sounded like So I realized it was gonna be close, and then I realized, okay, I'm not gonna quite make it under 3 hours. And during the bike course is really when the bike and run is when I could go into like a negative mindset and realize I'm not gonna get the time I want. Then I realized it doesn't fucking matter. Like, I'm not gonna win. This isn't about like getting on the podium. So it's like, am I gonna be 504th or am I gonna be 499th? Like.
That's my attitude all the time because I'm like, well, I'm not getting anywhere near the podium, so who cares?
Yeah, we save that for the sprint triathlon.
That's right.
Yeah. So I kept bringing myself back into the moment. Just keep bringing myself back into the moment. And the cool thing was I saw one of the Yoeleo Bike Club members. He was on the same. Well, we saw each other in the bike course. He was on his first loop. I was on his second loop, but he caught up to me, and the phrase in Mandarin or Chinese to say like "go for it" or "let's go," like what you yell at to people on the race course is "jiao," and so that's. If I forget all of my Chinese, I will never forget that because I was yelling it out and receiving it. You know, people on the side just cheering people on, "jiao, jiao." And
that's awesome.
So I gave him a jayo back. Yeah. And then finished up my bike and then I got onto the run and I'd pre-gamed this party by putting a lot of sunscreen on. So
okay,
I'd say
good.
Besides finishing a race in a foreign country, my achievement I'm the most proud of is I didn't burn. I actually got a tan, Lindsay.
What?
Yes. And for listeners who haven't seen me, haven't seen a picture of me, for me to get a tan, that is a huge fucking deal. And my tan's usually, yeah, exactly.
Gingers are notoriously just white.
Yeah, we go from white to red to purple. And
then back to white again.
Yeah, and then to the hospital, and then flaky, and then back to like plain powder white again.
Well, congratulations on your first foreign race and your first tan.
Thank you. Yeah. So getting back onto the run, I still had the idea that, I wanted to break 6 hours. I think my slowest race up to that point was 6 hours. And I'm looking at it right now. I finished at Oceanside 70.3. It was like 6 hours and 40 seconds. So I was like,
that was your slowest. Okay.
So I just want to get faster than that. And as I was running the miles, I thought, again, the head game, like, am I going to do it? Am I not? I don't know. And eventually I let go. I was like, it doesn't matter. Just be here right now with every step, support the other people, receive the support from people. And like, I'm racing in China. Like I get to be here, just connecting to gratitude, connecting to the moment, smelling the salt air and everything. Yeah. And just loving it. Like I felt good on the run, and I said, let's just keep this steady pace. For a little while I was doing like 8:30s and then around 9s. And even at that pace, which is good for me, that's a good pace for me. Even at that pace, I wasn't going to break the 6 hour mark. And it was nice when I finally realized that I could really enjoy the last 4 miles of the race without any pressure at all.
That's nice.
Yeah,
That's
a little
really
muggy,
nice.
A little bit muggy.
Oh, yeah.
Towards the end. But the cool thing is they had those cold sponges. Have you been to a race where they had sponges filled with cold water? I've only experienced it in Kona before. But they'll have like these huge trash cans filled with ice water, and they'll give you these like really pliable white sponges, and you can wipe off the sweat, help your pores breathe.
Ooh.
You can put it on your head, and a bunch of people will put it like in their jersey, so it looks like you have like Captain America shoulder pads.
That's awesome. I've never experienced that, but I can think of a few races where that I would have loved that.
Oh my God, it's so nice. And then here's the difference too, which I haven't seen at 70.3s in the States, is they had changing tents like you would for a full.
Oh, like a full.
Yeah.
I like that. I love the changing tent. That was fun. I'd never had that either before this last, Ironman. And I have this like towel I bought on Amazon. It's like a shower. It's like this big towel that has elastic around one edge and Velcro, so that you can I put it around and I just change under it if I need to.
Oh, that's nice.
But it's still like, makes the transition a little bit longer, and I'm already slow. So to have the tent is great. So
yeah, that's the tent. The tent was nice. It was. Well, I think the best part about the tent is they had the chairs to sit on. I mean, for me, like I didn't have to get naked because I had my suit, my tri-suit underneath my wetsuit, but to be able to sit down in the chair in the shade was nice. So,
well, it sounds like this is a good race for people to consider if people want to do a destination race, because you've got decent temperature water, ocean swim with a lot of people breaststroking. That may not be a plus for you. It's a plus for me.
Yeah, you just see it and you do a little extra sighting and navigate around it.
Yeah, exactly. And then, great conditions, race conditions, and a completely closed road for the bike, which is amazing. Changing tents. I mean, it just sounds like such a cool race.
Yeah, I liked it. And when I was heading out on the run, they had these women dressed up and it looked like traditional, fancy Chinese clothes, beating these drums. And, it looked like the winners got to come into that. So
how fun.
That was cool. They were not there when I came through at the 6-hour mark.
They can only play so many hours.
Must have got tired. Yeah. I was bummed nobody drummed for me, but I let that one go. Cool finish line too. Really cool finish line. I mean, they had like a big screen set up with the video of people coming in. They had like the big archway like you would a full Ironman, and a couple of announcers bringing people in. Really cool music, like a couple rows of bleachers set up for people to watch, and then really cool, yeah. And then your morning clothes bags are right there after you get out of the chute, which is cool. I'd say the only complaint I had about the whole race was the athlete food after sucked. It was terrible.
Oh.
It was a brown bag with like a thing of crackers, a granola bar, and they gave you an apple. So not what I was hoping for, but plenty of good places to eat around there, so that wasn't a problem.
The foreign food, I've heard on a few different occasions from other people, can be a challenge just because culturally it's different what they eat. Like I have a friend of mine Sanborn, who did a ski tour across, I think it was Norway. So they skied from one side to the other, cross country ski. And it was almost like going on a cycling tour. You ski a certain amount and they've got the lunch stop, and then you get to the hotel and they bring your bags.
Yeah.
And on day one, I mean, this is a lot of skiing, right? A lot of cross country every day. And on day one at the stops, they had raisins, pickles, and coffee. And that was it. And everyone was like eating it. And Sanborn was like, my body does not want any of it. Like, this isn't going to fuel any. So that's all she had to do it the first day because she didn't have any stuff with her of her own, Yeah. And she said her stomach, of course, raisins, coffee, and pickles. I mean, your stomach's just like acid, dried fruit. I mean.
Yeah, exactly.
She said
well, here's the thing.
Like,
So the last thing I wanted was I just wanted I wanted some carbohydrates. I wanted bread. I wanted noodles.
Right, of course.
My aunt was there too, and she was watching me. She's like, "Oh, I have a tangerine. Do you want that?" I'm like, waiting to filter out my original responses. Like, no, I don't want any fucking tangerines. Like, no, thank you. A hard pass on that.
You're like, how about some warm noodles with some protein in it?
Yeah.
That would be, and some broth, exactly. Bone broth.
Tangerine was just a step above of like gel or like, like some racist course nutrition in the order of things I wanted. So
yeah, nothing sweet. Thanks.
Yeah. Had some awesome food though afterwards.
So what'd you have?
Oh, what didn't we have? It was, I went out to dinner with a Yoeleo Bike team a couple times. They invited us for like a introduction kind of like meal and then a celebration meal. And so like it's in a room where it's like a private room and they just bring out all kinds of different dishes to your party. And so
how
then
fun.
it had this big round table in the middle, so it just spins around.
Yeah, lazy Susan. Yeah.
Yeah, like a lazy Susan spinning table. And so there was chow mein, rice, fried rice, different kind of dishes with fish, different kind of dishes with potatoes, like a lot of stuff. Just a lot of stuff. Yeah, it was so good.
So did you eat this after the race?
I ate it that night. So I think
Okay,
going back to the hotel, I got just a little bit of food there.
And I feel like, I don't know, the way you described it sounds like the recovery would be good after eating that food. I feel like that would be supporting recovery, like some fresh fish and some, handmade noodles. And
it felt good. I tell you what, though, I think the best thing for my recovery, which is why I was not sore more than like 2 days out, is so we left mainland China for the next morning and spent a few days in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
And so Hong Kong, for people who have not been there, is all hills.
Oh.
And so I was walking up and down the hills, and that really shook out that lactic acid. It was the best thing. I was a little bit tired, but it really helped me work it out. So every day, and we were walking around for a few hours at a time. So that's an awesome way to not only eat some really good food, see a cool place, but then just all the walking helped my body immensely.
Yeah, what was Hong Kong like? I've always wanted to go there.
It is very different from mainland China. I mean, they have their own. They're a lot more open and free. It's an international city. It used to be a British colony,
right?
So they're very used to Western ways. So really good food. Both European or North American and Chinese food. Really, really nice people, and well, when I was there too, there's the big protest going on, so I got to watch that unfold. People, starting bonfires, throwing bricks.
Holy cow!
Batteries exploding, like police coming in and watch them shoot tear gas in the crowds, and
holy cow!
Yeah, chase people down and beat them with sticks. So that was that was interesting.
I would personally probably be traumatized by that, but you've seen worse, so I guess you were like, well, there's that.
Well, I was there with my battle buddy too, so we're talking about it. We're like, we can't not watch this. We have to be there for it.
Oh my gosh!
And we're like joking around, saying, this is similar to the circumstances in which our friendship and bond was formed. So why wouldn't we be here in the action?
You're just comfortable, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's kind of crazy. So, but in terms of the city, does there a lot of pollution? Is it super crowded, or is it a little bit different than some of the other images I've seen of Chinese cities?
Clean, very clean, very nice, very organized. And I mean, there's 7.5 million people who live in Hong Kong. Right. It's really condensed. It's one of the most densely populated places on earth. And you'll see that, like, with all the high-rise, apartments everywhere. But for how many people there are, things run very smoothly.
That's awesome.
It works great. So definitely a place worth visiting.
So how far is the race from Hong Kong?
Xiamen, it was an hour-and-a-half plane ride. So
okay.
Yeah, so
you flew to Hong Kong, then you flew to Xiamen, then you went. Okay, got it.
Yeah, and then I came back. Some great post-race eating in Hong Kong too. Not only were there awesome like dim sum and Chinese food, a lot of Chinese food dishes, but I got this one thing. It's called an egg puff. It's like a waffle-like material with an egg-based breading, and in each of these little puffs, if you imagine, it's like a waffle with little like puffs sticking out, like little golf ball sized puffs. They put different toppings you want. So I got chocolate and banana in it, and that's wrapped around like a taco, wrapped around chocolate ice cream. So
holy
awesome
freaking cow!
Yes.
Well, dim sum is one of my favorite foods. I never eat it anymore, but because it would just add on the poundage that I'm trying to fight off. But I love dim sum, but I've never had this waffle thing. Sounds freaking.
Yeah, that was awesome. I'll post that up on our Instagram feed because it was, I wouldn't say it was life-changing necessarily, but it was exactly what my face wanted. that
I'm ready
week
to
after
make
a
the
race.
15-hour flight or whatever it is just to fucking eat that thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. So, so having done your first destination race, do you feel like this is something you would do again in terms of
100% yes.
Okay.
There's some other places I'm thinking of going. I mean, I really want to race in Australia.
Uh-huh.
I like to race in South America too.
Okay.
So there's a lot of places. I want to find a place that, I can bring the family to.
Uh-huh.
So I have a lot of ideas between Ireland, Australia, New Zealand, Brazil.
Would you do Austria? I want to do Ironman Austria. I've heard it's a great race.
I would love to.
I want to do Ironman Austria in like 2022. So a couple of years from now, I've got some stuff going on. It's going to keep me from really training for Ironman for the next year or two. But 2022, my friend Brenna and I did Ironman this year. She's doing it Santa Rosa next year. She's done a few already, but we're the exact same age, same birthday, same year. And we've been injured on and off, like opposite of each other.
Yeah.
Know? And so we've never gotten to do like big race together. So we were like, okay, she's doing Ironman Santa Rosa in 2020. And so she's like, I'm going to need a year after that to recover. And so then 2022 is going to be our year. And I'm going to try to convince her to do Austria because I've heard it's a great race. You should come.
I would be into that. Oh, one thing I didn't mention yet that I think is part of the whole race experience for Xiamen was race morning. I get up and the hotel I was staying in has an awesome buffet, an awesome restaurant. Oh. So they had some Western foods. I just wanted something simple, maybe a little bit of oatmeal and a banana, maybe a fried egg, piece of bread. They also had going for every meal, like traditional, very pungent Chinese dishes. And smelling that race morning, I think with the race nerves and having that empty stomach walking in there, that was rough. I started to feel nauseous. It takes a lot to make me nauseous, and they were foods I would eat for dinner, but they were
not,
you smell it on an empty stomach in the morning that's rough for me.
Yeah. They've got some interesting stuff too. The stinky tofu. Have you ever had that? I don't know what it's called in Mandarin, but I have some Chinese friends who so we went out to a restaurant that, it was a Chinese restaurant, and they had the menu that they give Chinese people versus the menu for stupid Westerners. Yeah. And so they ordered everything and they were like, oh, this is, and they were eating it. They're like, oh, this is stinky tofu. You should try it. And I like tofu. But it's fermented and it's okay. Have you ever like the only thing I can equate it to is the smell of the inside of a porta potty at the end of an Ironman.
Oh, so delicious.
If they made that somehow solidified and then deep fried that smell, and so that when you bite it, it kind of goes liquidy and just coats your mouth. That's what that is. And then my friends were like, yeah, but they knew that like a Western palate wasn't, and so they thought it was hilarious. I took a bite and it just spreads. It's not like you can get rid of it right away. I mean, I was at the table, my eyes were watering. I was gagging. It was, oh my gosh. So not something I'd want to encounter on race morning at all.
I'll put up a picture of one of the most interesting food I ate while I was in China. And it was, I'm not sure exactly what it is. Maybe one of our listeners will know. But it was these, I couldn't tell if they were like clam necks or a sea worm or something.
Gooey duck?
It was these little tiny tube-like things that could either be a worm or a neck encased in a gelatin. So it's like this clear jello looking thing, not sugary jello, just flavorless jello with these little worm things inside of it. And I ate one and they're like, oh, this is a delicacy here. I was like, cool. Ate it. It was not good. Didn't want to make me want to vomit, but I couldn't appreciate it.
Didn't want to have another one.
Splendor. Oh, I had another one just to show I could fucking hang.
Oh, dude.
Yeah. So
I don't know that I could even get that in my mouth based on the description of it.
Yeah, well, I'll send you a picture and you can see if the Xiamen worm jello is something you want to experience. But all in all,
pussy when it comes to stuff like that. I'll just put it out there.
Yeah.
I'm weak.
I don't blame you. It's not exciting. It's not good for everybody. But all in all, race experience, outstanding. I'm so glad I did it. And I'm so glad I was able to experience. I mean, it's my first time going to Asia too. So
awesome.
I got to experience that, and just being welcomed in by Leo and his bike team was so cool. So it made it that much easier. At least I knew a couple people there, and they brought us out to dinner. Got to meet a lot of cool people. He told me a little bit about how the race would go. So it was awesome. Just a cool experience.
One of the things that you said when you were describing the race that I think is important to like circle back to is that we set these arbitrary goals for ourselves, time goals, and that you had to talk yourself into letting those go, and that once you did, you were able to enjoy the race. That's such an important thing, because we're doing this because we love it and because it's a passion of ours, but it's not a job. You know what I mean? It's
yeah, exactly.
It's supposed to be for personal growth and health. And if you're always just only tied to an outcome, you're going to miss the journey. I mean, I think sometimes it's good to have a race where the whole goal is like a time thing, because that's another way of testing yourself, right? Like, how fast can I go, and how far can I put, how much can I put? But that's not the only experience to get out of this. And like that whole practice of being able to like let it go and just enjoy like the scenery and being in a foreign country and just being there, and still like what the cool thing is, like, you're all the way across the world and they're totally different people, but like you said, you were speaking Spanish, German, English, Japanese, Chinese at the beginning, and or Mandarin at the beginning, but that's still our tribe, right? Like, we're all still triathletes or endurance athletes, and that's still our people. And like that experience is just as important, if not more important, than the time.
I agree with you 100% on this one, and it's interesting because I really. Like, I lean on the side of being way too loosey-goosey and lax with how I race. I err on that side of just enjoying the experience. But those goals and the mindset, it even fucked with me. So I know it's a powerful thing. But you're right. You just to recognize it and say, okay, that's there. That's part of my mindset. But letting it go. And sometimes those things stick around a while, and you just have to keep recognizing and letting them go.
Yeah. It's a process. It's not a one and done. And even for me, and I would categorize myself as someone who's not particularly competitive. I mean, when I'm going to events, it's usually to compete with myself, not with others. I don't, someone passes me, I'm like, good for you. Usually. But even within that, I will go through in a race cycles of compare and despair. You know what I mean? Like, on the one hand, someone passes me and I'm like, oh, good for you. On the other hand, I'll kind of be like, wow, there are women who are in your age group who are finishing this so much faster. And I'll be starting to say that to myself. And it's like, what is the point? Yeah. It's not going to help me go faster. You know what I mean? That thought.
Yeah. That's something for the journal afterwards to say, how can I improve, and looking at it that way. But you're right. In the course of a race, what are you going to do? It's not, that information is not going to help you even to get fast as them. So.
No, never. In fact, I find that I actually, when I start comparing like that, I find that the race suddenly becomes harder, more of a chore. I might even end up slowing down because my mindset starts focusing on what I can't do. And that doesn't like support me.
Fear and panic, right?
Exactly. So I'm glad you said that and that you had that experience during the race, because I think it's really important for us endurance athletes to intentionally enjoy all aspects of the sport, not just only like when we're fast.
Exactly. Just allowing myself to be grateful, one, to my family to let me go out and race, and my friends and people who support me, and the people there who set up the course, my fellow athletes. It was so fun to do that race. And so when I could just shift my mindset to focus on those things, it changed it. It changed it a lot. And like I said, I had to keep doing that a few times. Once I was on the run and realized, I'm not going to pass 6 hours, good. Now I can just enjoy it. And so I balance that enjoying it with, I balance that with sometimes on the run is when I do this, is take the David Goggins approach of take motherfuckers' souls. So I was like, I can pass this guy. I'll take this motherfucker's soul right now. And it helps me to one, and I can stay having fun and enjoying the race, but two, to really tune in and hone in on, going forward still. Yeah. So between having fun and taking fucking souls, it's a good balance to be in.
It's a win. Yeah, exactly. That's awesome. I love that guy. I think he's amazing. And I definitely try to channel him. I kind of laugh to myself sometimes because in my own mind, I'm like channeling David Goggins and I'm like, I'm going to take this,
Yeah.
And on the outside though, if you ever see I'll see pictures of myself after the race and I just look like a middle-aged black lady running. But inside I'm like, I'm David Goggins.
Yeah.
But on the outside it's like, oh, look at that mom.
Yeah. Look at her.
Look at that mom.
Yeah, look at her go. Good for you. Hey, I think that should be our lesson or our challenge to our listeners for this week is to enjoy whatever you're doing. If it's a training run, a ride, or a race, just enjoy it and find that balance of pushing yourself and being glad to be there, because wishing you were at the finish line and getting mad and having a race like that that sucks. Fuck that. No more.
Done.
Yeah.
We are here to enjoy ourselves. That's our purpose. And yeah. So I think we did it.
All right, everybody. That was it for this week. Thank you for tuning in. Go ahead and find us at Age Groupies on Instagram. Find us on Facebook. Email us, agegroupies@gmail.com with any questions or comments, ideas for shows. And please subscribe to our show on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're going to get your podcast. Leave us a review. The best review of each month, I'm going to send you a tube of Zealios sunscreen. That's good stuff. Now, as you already heard, if that can protect my white ass from getting sunburned out on the course, it's going to do just fine for you. All right. Take care, guys. We will see you next week. Bye-bye.